Hello, my book is The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, written by Mark Twain. Samuel Clemens, or also known by his pen name Mark Twain, was born in Florida, Missouri. Whenever Samuel was younger, he worked as a riverboat apprentice and multiple times throughout history was called the Lincoln of our literature. The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn is an adventure fiction book that has humor and satire in it, at least for the genre. Sadly, though, Twain died on April 21st, 1910. For main points, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn starts off in Missouri with Huck, the protagonist, and Jim, who is a slave. After being gone for about a year, Huck's father, who is a drunk and very abusive to his son, returns and sadly regains custody of Huck. While Huck was living with his father, again, he was abused and hurt, and at this point pushed Huck to actually run away by faking his own death. While Huck was on the run, he actually runs into Jim, who was actually running away because Jim found out he was being sold to another plantation in New Orleans, and at this point these two decided to travel with each other. After a few times of almost being caught, the two actually build their own raft and travel down the Mississippi River. While traveling down the Mississippi River, Huck and Finn run into all different types of situations. One of the first actually being they actually board a steamboat on the steamboat they find gang members who were causing trouble and threatening one another. Luckily, Huck and Jim were able to escape uninjured, but sadly Huck and Finn were separated. Huck was found by a family who took him in for some time, but after this family had too many of their own problems, which was family rivalries, Huck had to leave. Huck actually found Jim alongside the river, and the two left and started traveling with each other again. During all this time, Huck and Finn actually grow a lot closer to one another and become close friends. But again, trouble does start up, and they actually run into two con artists who call themselves the King and the Duke, who forced Huck and Jim into helping with their own cons. Some of those being going around pretending to be priests to collect profit. Another one was pretending to be this family's long-lost uncles to try to collect their property and their inheritance. Huck actually finds out about this, and he's able to help by hiding the money that was the inheritance. And because of that, the two con artists were exposed. Sadly, though, after all of this, Huck actually goes to look back for Jim, but finds out that the con artist actually sold Jim for profit. So Huck starts to devise a plan to actually get Jim back, and he actually gets help from one of his good friends, Tom Sawyer, who they both work together to get Jim back. Themes in The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn would have to be probably one being friendship, adventure, and slavery, freedom too. My favorite passage would have to be around the time that Huck and Tom Sawyer are actually trying to get back. Huck is actually recalling his journey with Jim and trying to find or think of anything that Jim ever did wrong, but Huck can't think of anything and can only think of all the nice stuff that Jim has ever done and how much Jim actually cares for him. I like this part of the book a lot because it mentions the friendship between the two and shows how far they come, but it also shows character development in Huck, as Huck didn't like Jim in the very start of the book, but now actually considers him as a good friend. The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn is a very good book to read. I like how it actually does mention slavery, as it's a hard subject to talk about sometimes, and I like the friendship between Huck and Finn because it's just sweet overall. For ages, I would have to say the ages 10 and up would be best suited for this book just because of the stuff it's mentioned. The gender doesn't really matter, anyone could read this. it doesn't matter if it's caught or not or school, it should just be available to read, and the book shouldn't be banned as it does have a really good lesson to teach in it.